Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of The Lone Wolf Show. I'm the Lone Wolf, and as promised, I have a very special guest, Rhiannon Martin Zell. Rhiannon, how are you doing today?
Hello. Merry meet.
Merry meet for sure. You're down there in Asheville, North Carolina. Is that right?
That's correct. We're having a beautiful sunny day today, much different than there was in October.
So the weather down there is warmer than the rest of the country. We're frigid around the country. It's comfortable down there.
Well, it was in the 30s earlier. Right now, my thermometer's in the sun, so it's hitting about 50. Wow, that's the warmest it's been in a couple of weeks.
That's actually wonderful. I've been seeing a lot of videos that you've been doing in North Carolina at particular like shops in the area. Do you work exclusively with some like witchy shops down there?
No, I don't. I'm actually a psychiatric nurse and still working, although Oberon has me doing a lot of other things too. But I'm working basically full time. But it's always been important to me to teach, to pass on the knowledge of the craft and the knowledge of my path, even if people aren't really following the craft itself, just general paganism, or techniques that I've learned that will help the fundamentalist Christian on the corner deal with their life better. It's building community, reaching out. We actually started our videos by doing a class each month in one of the local shops. And when COVID came around, we took it online. And we were doing rituals and classes online. I still teach some students online, but most of my students are in person.
Mm-hmm. So you have over 50 years of experience in the craft?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started in, I guess it was either 70 or 71. It was kind of an interesting start. I had been, believe it or not, living in Alaska, which definitely is much colder than here. I was living up there for about 2 years and got interested in some classes that a local church, a Lutheran church, was holding in parapsychology and how to read auras and things like that. And when I came, I took a class in meditation up there from this wonderful lady, and started making meditation a practice each day for me. And then came down to, quote, the lower 48, and eventually found myself in New York State. And I had been avoiding witchcraft at that time because being a good little Christian girl at that time, although Episcopalian, not fundamentalist, most of what I had seen about the craft, and most that was public, was about curses and hexes and that kind of thing, which I considered, no, that's not anything I wanted to be part of. But if you'd like the story of how I actually got started, I walked into a bookstore. Yeah. And I was looking at the parapsychology books. And the next thing I knew, I was out in the main part of the mall, and I remembered paying for a book, but I didn't remember what book it was, which was really strange because I'm picky on my books. And I opened the bag and I saw The Witchcraft Report by Hans Holzer. And I started looking around like, who made me buy this? And nobody obviously was paying attention to me. And I thought, if I bought this, there must be a reason. Maybe I should look at this, but I'm going to sit down here in the mall where it's not getting into my house and start reading it. And in the first chapter, I found out that the lady I had taken meditation from in Alaska was a witch. And I thought, there must be something good about it if she's a witch, because I have high respect for her. And by the time I finished the next chapter, it was pretty quick reading, I realized this is what I had always been. So I took the book home and I finished reading it and went to Who's Who in America in the library, which is a book that I've never looked in before or since, but they had Hans Holzer's address. And I wrote to him and said, do you know of any groups around me? And he said, well, there's one about an hour away from you, but I don't know them personally. But there's a group that I'd highly recommend, which turned out to be about 4.5 hours from me. So started studying by mail with the priestess, and she was Alexandrian tradition.
Oh.
And at that time, this doesn't hold for all Alexandrians that I've met, but at that time, she was giving just a bit of training, not real in-depth, until somebody was initiated. Then they'd get initiated and get the rest of their training. So I'm writing to her and she gave me an energy exercise. And I wrote back and said my results. And I got a call saying, when can you come for initiation? Somebody that I'd never met, a group I never knew. But after taking some precautions, since I'm a cautious person, I let everybody know where I'd be, et cetera, et cetera. It was well before cell phones. I went up to, it was Watertown, New York, a priestess named Delandra Elena, also known in the town as Gail Steele. She was very public about her name. And I decided to drive around the town a bit because I was several hours early, not knowing how long it would take and being very nervous. Mm-hmm. And suddenly the sun went down, and in spite of usually having a very good sense of direction, I suddenly felt totally lost. And no gas station to ask directions from, no stores. Decided I'll stop at the first house that has a light on. So I saw a light on the corner, walked up to the door, knocked. This little short lady answered the door, and I asked her where the street I was going to was. And she said, well, what number? Because that street splits in town, and I don't want to send you the wrong way. And I told her, and she looked at me and she said, Rhiannon? I went, Delandra? Oh, so this is Holcomb Street? No, Holcomb Street's across town. When did I give you my address? And she hadn't. She'd given me a post office box. Mm-hmm. Out of 100,000 people in that town, hers was the door I knocked on. Mm-hmm. And I knew from that moment on, I was on the right path.
So in the chat room, I'd like to welcome Aggie Vanderpool, who says, hello, Rhiannon. Maggie. So glad you're chatting with Harold. We appreciate you watching the Lone Wolf Show right here on Witchcraft TV. Also in the chat room, Lavetta Davis, thank you for this marvelous show and wonderful guest. So thank you so
Thank you.
much, Lavetta, for watching the show, The Lone Wolf Show, and Chris Copeland, who is the editor of Carillion Press. So excited to see this interview. And all the way from across the pond in England, Sophia Jones, a benefactor of Witchcraft TV, says, gosh, what a psychic draw. So, yeah, so the chat room is stirring. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really cool story. Now that was a story that you're telling about the way that you played the Seeker in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And being a Seeker in the 70s is a lot different from the Seeker in
is.
contemporary times and contemporary craft. I would say in discernment that a Seeker in the 70s had a hell of a lot harder seeking job than now.
Everybody was underground. I know Church of All Worlds was started then, but in the witchcraft community, we didn't know much about it yet. And I knew there were different groups around. I actually had met one other person who said they were a witch, and thought that was kind of weird at one time. But I guess that wasn't the right group for me to be in.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously I studied with that group for quite a while, finally received my 3rd degree, and went on to start my own groups.
Mm-hmm. What was the name of the groups that you had started?
Well, we had one down in Houston, Texas, that we never really named. It was just our coven. Here in North Carolina, well, in Tennessee, I worked with, at that time, my partner, Mortier, had started a group after receiving his 3rd from my previous husband and I. He started a group over in Tennessee that actually cures several people that watch this show quite a bit have been part of. But over here in North Carolina, we started a serpent stone tradition. And we have the original coven, which we at that time called the Jesse Helms Memorial Coven, because Jesse Helms was a North Carolina senator who was very against witchcraft. And we decided it sounded good to have it as a memorial coven since he was still alive. And that might be a little bit of magic for some of the work he was doing. But we ended up with just calling it the Serpentstone Coven most of the time, and then started the Serpentstone family, which became a coalition of many different groups that sponsored grassroots gatherings. And we did that for over 25 years throughout the Southeast.
Wow. That's a quarter century.
Yep.
That's a quarter century.
I decided when I was about 65 that was probably about long enough, and turned it over to some other people. But it, as Serpentstone, did not last very long that way. Mm-hmm. But a lot of those people are still doing small gatherings on their own, and it's kind of spread out into kind of smaller groups that stay connected in many ways. But we started out first gathering with 75 people attending after sending out 25 invitations. And in, 96, no, excuse me, 96, no, 97, excuse me, 97, we had 2,500 people at one gathering.
That's a lot of pagans.
Yes, it is. Especially if you're coordinating the gathering.
So I have a question for you. What would be your advice, from a trajectory of like 50 years of being involved in the craft and, definitely, I would assume having many, many children and grandchildren and within the structure of the craft.
Yes.
What would be your advice to current seekers of the craft?
First one is stay connected. And okay, you are the lone wolf show.
Yep, lone wolf show.
And wolf is one of my totems, by the way. But my wolf is not a lone wolf.
Yeah.
It works with a pack, and it works between packs. Staying connected, first of all, with your own deities, with your own practice. Right now, I know a lot of people who are feeling like they need to melt into the shadows. And the shadows are fine if you need to be there. But stay connected. Connect with your spiritual world. Connect with your deities. Connect with nature if you're going to be over in the shadows. If you possibly can, reach out into community. Connect with others of like mind. They don't necessarily, and if you prefer your craft solitary or prefer your practice solitary if you aren't actually craft, still reach out for people who have like mind. Have a support system. You can do anything if somebody has your back. And they can do anything if you have theirs. It goes two ways. One of the things that with Serpentstone that we tried to do, we tried to make it a place so that people who had their own groups, the whole group could be part of it. Individuals could be part of it. Solitaries could be part of it. People who were just seeking could be part of it. We even have some Christians who were part of it because they felt comfortable there. They felt like they had like-minded people around them. But nowadays, I don't think we can really safely stand on our own. There's a lot of different things going on. Again, the other day I posted something about the age of Aquarius starting. Mm-hmm. We had the big alignment of planets, which actually last night I was out there looking at them with my Stargazer app and could go all the way around in almost exact circle and see most of the planets going all the way around. It's going to be for a little while yet. Those energies are something that we can use right now and can support us, but we also need to know how to work with them, recognizing that communication may have a problem with communication tends to be Mercury. You have conflict in communication because Mars is right next to it. You have limitations on expressing those feelings of universal love because Saturn's right there. You've got to look around and feel what is around you, how you can work with it. The word Wicca in many ways means to twist, to turn, to be able to wind those threads together so that you can make them into an energy that's what you want to go out. But it takes focus, and it takes support either from others or nature or your spiritual world, whichever. But those connections need to be done and need to be strengthened. So that's the advice I have.
Duly noted and archived right here on Witchcraft TV. Someone in the chat room has asked an abrupt question. And the question was abruptly, how can I join your witchcraft? So I guess the better question would be, how would they seek talking to somebody within your infrastructure? And I mean, what would be their...
If they are part of, if they are on Facebook, we have the Serpentstone Family Grove, or you can look up Rhiannon Martin, and the symbol with mine is not my picture. I'm having trouble getting to that account, but the picture with that one is the picture of a white, almost crystalline looking dragon with stones in front of it. And people can message me on Facebook, or if they want to, they can contact me, Rhiannon of SS. So it's Rhiannon of Serpentstone, but shortened, at gmail.com. But I have to admit, I'm slow on answering my Gmail messages. Or if they get in contact with Oberon, he can put me in contact with them too. Sometimes he's easier to find, Oberon Zell. Mm-hmm. And he checks his emails.
Recently married to Oberon Zell, a renowned wizard and elder in the global magical community. Together, they are working on creating a...
That's correct. Actually, Oberon is now a third degree in the Serpentstone tradition, duly trained and initiated. But also, we are working on building a community center. We have about 2.5 acres here. It's actually in a small town called Candler, just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And we have, well, Oberon calls it a shed. I call it a garage, but it doesn't have any doors. It's a 3-car garage kind of thing that we're going to convert into a community center and library, because the two of us together have way too many books to fit into this small house.
Wow. Wow. So I have I'm full of questions. I'm the question guy. I've been asking. I mean, I often reach out to the wisest people that I can find, and you are that person. I'm so glad that I was able to just like come to terms with this. And I mean, a lot of people in the community, and you brought up your husband, Mr. Zell. A lot of people love Mr. Zell. I mean, I'm a big supporter. Yeah, I hear you. That's comical, funny. So I've always supported a lot of his endeavors. We talk about his books and stuff on the station a lot. And I mean, what is life like living with America's wizard?
Very interesting and very busy. I thought I was busy before, and he thought he was busy before, but now we put both things together, and I haven't even gotten to finish reading his latest book because I've been too busy to. We've been traveling basically all over the U.S. At different times. Let's see, California, Los Angeles, Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia. Trying to think of where else.
Salem.
Oh, Salem, Massachusetts. Sorry about my dog. He likes to interrupt things.
We like dogs on the Lone Wolf Show.
Okay. He must have seen the wolf out there.
So what kind of endeavors of traveling do you have planned for the spring? I know that a lot of people in the community often hunker down in the winter, and then when spring comes, it's like the festival season kind of comes to life and everything. What kind of trips? Do you have any trips planned? Or
No, I know we are going to Convocation up in Ohio.
Ooh.
Detroit.
I'm having to have Oberon tell me all of the things too.
Detroit area.
Yes, that's up in the Detroit area.
That's really.
We are going to be going to Tennessee for a May Moon Madness thing, which is kind of a celebration of our first anniversary being married. And they have a gathering of limited size, each Beltane. I know we've got a bunch of other things planned, but Starwood will be at, and a lot of the rest is kind of up in the air right at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the schedule is filling up quickly.
So in the chat room, Jamie Lynn Denton coming all the way from Reno, Nevada, a supporter and benefactor of the station. Oberon has always been my favorite wizard, and I'm a big fan and follower, even more so since taking his class last WitchCon.
Okay. I haven't officially taken his classes, but we've sure discussed a whole bunch of different things. And also Oberon and I are working on a book together, The Wizard's Guide to Witchy Women.
Yes.
So
yes, I want to talk about that a little bit if it's okay. I really like the idea of that. And I saw emails kind of headed everywhere, and I've talked to a few people that submitted to that. And that book is forthcoming in the spring, is it not? And can you tell me some more about the actual publication date?
No idea yet.
Okay.
We're working on it though, but I have to admit this winter has been rather busy, and we did take a short break a couple of weeks ago to finally take a honeymoon. So we are going to really be focusing on it. He has a trip out of town to Mexico shortly to do some research down there. And when he gets back, we will really be pushing on the book. So I will let you know when we know more.
Terrific, fantastic, and I'm always willing to support those endeavors, particularly because that's kind of a piece of literature that's not often talked about it, and to go inside of the minds of various pagans and spiritual peoples on the topic is just a good work. It's a good work.
It's much. People have in the pagan community seem to have a much different view of how to meet people, how to connect, and what they're looking for than most of the people I talk to in the more mundane community. Definitely. And we're finding some new perspectives ourselves on what people are thinking. So, and we've got our own ideas. I have to admit, Oberon has had quite a bit of experience too with witchy women.
So with all your expertise and obvious wisdom within the infrastructure of the craft and what the craft is, of I want to say 50 years is a long time of experience. And one thing that I have observed is that within infrastructures of covens, organizations, groups, groves, however you might label them, there always seems to be some kind of split that always happens when things get real good. And I'm kind of asking, for our viewers and also myself, is that a healthy thing? Is that natural recourse, or are there learning curves that you could share with contemporary witches that we may benefit from?
Okay, I think it can be either one. In Serpentstone, we have had splits at different times. And I have found that the first thing to do is step back for a moment and really look at yourself. How are you dealing with people? And is it a healthy way to do it? What have you contributed to it? Because even if you did your best, there's still something that you contributed to it. What do you need to change, if anything? Or what do you feel like you need to stand firm on? Sometimes it's different ethical issues. Sometimes it's just that people grow in different directions. And just like a parent with their child, you can't hold them back from being themselves, or you aren't going to have a good relationship. If you can give the other people the right to go their own way without doing a whole bunch of negative political stuff, it really helps the whole community. There are times when a group breaks apart because things are going very well. And I think the gods say, okay, all of you are strong enough. Go your different ways so this can grow in different places, so more people can find it. I have found sometimes splits happen because relationships between maybe priest and priestess split up.
Yeah.
And that tends to be everybody going, oh, I've got to take this person's side or this person's side.
Yeah.
If the priest and priestess will talk it over before and say, look, we realize it doesn't work between us. Let's keep it polite. Remember, all of those people are our children. Let's keep it nice for them. And ask people not to take sides. Just go where they want to go. And it helps the craft work so much better. And it helps the people involved feel much better about themselves too. There are times that you may find that a group splits because of somebody hurting someone else in the group. Because let's face it, paganism sometimes is a place where perpetrators tend to look for victims. I think we need to stand firm when we realize that's happening and say, no, you are not welcome here.
Yeah.
And possibly letting other groups know this is the experience we had It's up to you whether you want to accept the person who perpetrated this or not.
Yeah.
I had years ago in town, there was a lady who was running a coven who used to be at our gatherings all the time. And she decided she wanted to take it over. Well, I didn't quite agree with what she had to offer, and was very happy still doing what I was doing. But she decided there was a witch war between us. And she finally, one day, we happened to meet in the same place. And she said, "You know, there's a witch war between us." And I said, "Really? Okay, you're going to have to fight it yourself because the lady's giving me too much work to do." And I walked off and I kept doing the lady's work. Put up some protections, let any energy bounce back at her that she sent to me, whether it was good or bad. Mm-hmm. And left it at that. And it worked out much better for me. And I realized that I was just available publicly as she was. And if people decided to stay with her, it's because that's what they wanted. And I was very glad that she was taking the people who were drug addicts and the people who wanted to work negative magic away from my area. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right. So you mentioned Convocation, and that's in Michigan?
Yes, Detroit, Michigan.
That's really cool, and I'm glad that you're going to that event. There's a new show on Witchcraft TV that is going to be exploring all the different festivals called Fun Festival, and that's a new show with a Llewellyn author by the name of A.C. Fisher Aldag. And we're going to be covering and interviewing the folks over there very soon. And I want to take a quick commercial break all about that show. And our chat room is flourishing with comments, and we'll get right back to that. If anybody has any questions for this wonderful high priestess, let us know in the comments. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. So keep it right here on Witchcraft TV.
Merry meet and welcome to Festival Fun on Witchcraft TV, where we talk about paganism, witchcraft, spiritual festivals, conventions, and other gatherings. These events are a wonderful way to learn about magical practices, to participate in rituals, and meet like-minded people. It's a whole lot of fun. With your host, A.C. Fisher and Harold Sanford Carter III. Welcome to Festival Fun.
And we're back on the Lone Wolf Show. And our chat room is going, flourishing, having a nice chat. We have some chats I want to get to. Lolan, a sign says, "I hope to see Gray School of Wizardry houses spring up like mushrooms across the country." So thank you so much for your good wishes and goodwill. Sierra says her opinions go across the spectrum. It would be great if everyone took this advice. And I also agree with that as well. Also, let's see what we have down here too. Someone else that wants to check out Convocation. Convocation is a newer endeavor to Craft TV, and we're going to be exploring that particular organization and group right here on Witchcraft TV. So stay tuned. And it sounds like Rhiannon, Martin Zell, along with her husband, is going to be attending the functions over there. So make sure y'all check that out and see what's going on over there. A question from the chat room just popped up with Sophia Jones coming all the way across the pond from England. Does Rhiannon have a chosen pantheon of deities?
Yes, I do. Actually, I work with quite a few different ones, but my chosen one are Celtic, and I work actually the first of the gods that I connected with. Well, as a kid, actually, I felt very close to Pan and Diana, and was out in the woods all the time. But in fact, my mother said my middle name was chosen because of the goddess Diana. It was Diane. But when I started studying the craft, my priestess worked with Celtic deities, and she had us connect with whatever deities we wished, whatever pantheon. But the first one that came to me was Manannan MacLear, who is the Celtic god of the sea.
Hmm.
And that was one that I wondered about. I really felt a strong connection to him and had no idea why it was that strong or why he was very obviously choosing that connection, until I found it was linked to something I did when I was about 10 years old and was out in the ocean and had a very special ring that I kept getting a feeling I should throw out to sea.
Hmm.
And eventually I did that. And I have to admit, for many years after, every time I walked on the beach, I looked to see if that ring was there. But many years after I even became third degree, I connected with Manannan and said, why? And saw him open his hand and show me that ring. But I do a lot of work with the goddess Danu, and the Morrigan also. Also, the Kaliak has been very interesting for me. But most of my work is with many of the different Celtic deities. So,
In the chat room, cries Copeland, looking forward to seeing the festivals on the new show. Great way for United States expats to stay connected to our pagan siblings statewide. Looks like, and I can't pronounce this correctly. I hope that I can at some point. Kulian
Kuhulik.
Fayron says, all hail the Morrigan, LOL. Sophia across the pond from England. He has appreciated the offering. And there was another question up here. Let's find it here. Let's see. Here we go. Aggie Vanderpool says, Lady Rhiannon, can you share a memory with us about a favorite gathering you have attended or coordinated?
Gee, there are a lot of them. And by the way, I think convocation, I'm sorry about the sun there. Oh, okay. I think convocation last year was absolutely wonderful. It is an indoor one, which I hadn't really been to much before. But the people were fantastic. There was so much going on all the time, etc. But one of the ones I coordinated was down in Georgia. And it was just after, it was the Samhain after 9/11. And we decided to do a ritual to help heal, because so many people had died in 9/11 or had grief from it, etc. And This one was not with Celtic gods or goddesses. This was with Hecate. And when I meditated on what ritual we should do, it was a story about Hecate's cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
And we had set up where people from representing all of the different, let's say, factions in 9/11 at that time, the victims, the people who perpetrated the attack, the people who helped protect, and so on and so forth, were all part of it. They weren't actually people who had been perpetrating it, etc., but they were representing that. And we could feel the connection with people from Afghanistan even. And feel the connection with Hecate. And I have to admit, I was the priestess for that. I had Hecate drawn down on me. But at one time in that circle, I was standing in the west. And I was looking at the altar, which was built out of stone and it was a very sturdy altar, built out of stone, and also you were able to put a fire within it. And I saw Hecate in my dress, wearing my glasses, with her hair up and a bun on top of her head, dancing on the altar, stomping her stick, and getting everybody to dance in a spiral around. And suddenly I realized that's my body there, and I'm over here.
Wow.
Hecate's really here. It was a ritual that helped, I think, quite a few people move on from that helped them find, and at that point, everybody was really feeling hatred towards those who had perpetrated the attack. And it helped people realize that not everybody in Afghanistan was actually wanting this. Not everybody was in the roles that they thought they were. And they were able to have empathy and start reaching out and healing and helping each other. And the whole gathering became one of everybody reaching out to each other and forming those connections. And I think that made it one of my favorite gatherings, because you could just feel the energy flow there and feel the love that was raised, not just in that circle, but in that whole gathering space.
What a powerful story. Hail Hecate. Wow. So, wow. Well, we're about at the end of the bottom of the hour, excuse me. Do you have any from reading your bio, from really taking a look at your path and doing that, because I like I was saying earlier in the show, I often reach out to the wisest people that I can find, and I saw in your bio that you are an expert at chanting. Do you have a particular chant that you fancied for a long time that has been powerful for you, that may spread kind of healing and unite what is sometime a divided pagan community?
There is one, actually, this one I wrote a few years back, or actually, this is one that I channeled a few years back after seeing a spider in a web. And actually, it was when a lot of stuff was starting to turn against the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, again, I think my role in the community is connection, helping people connect, helping to learn those connections, also helping balance the energy of the god and goddess, at least for me. But if you'd like, I'll share this chant. It does take a moment. Do you have time?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me sing you a song of my people, from all 8 spokes of the wheel. Let me sing you a song of my people, so that we all may heal. The 8 and the 6 and 4-legged, those with 2 legs, with those with none, those that swim and the stone people standing, and the chant and the plant people reach to the sun. Let me sing you a song of my people, from all 8 spokes of the wheel. Let me sing you a song of my people, so that we all may heal. The black and the white and the yellow, the bronze and the coppery too, the male and female and the others, and that includes me and you. Let me sing you a song of my people, from all 8 spokes of the wheel. Let me sing you a song of my people, so that we all may heal. We all are born of the goddess. We all seek love in our lives. We all reach out to the heavens. So let us let go of strife. I shall sing you a song of my people, from all 8 spokes of the wheel. I shall sing you a song of my people, so that we all may heal. That's it. I call it the spider song.
What is it called again?
The spider song.
The spider song?
Mm-hmm.
When you say the spider song, the first thing that pops into my head is Athena, and I'm not sure why, but it pops into my head.
That works. It actually had started from seeing an orb weaver spider in my field and taking a picture of it and sending it to my sister, because we shared nature pictures. And we started a conversation and everything. And then afterwards I went for a walk and saw the same spider and stopped and said, thank you. Thank you for sharing, letting me share your picture, and for helping that connection. And I took 2 steps away and that song was flowing through me. So I consider it the gift from the orb weaver spider, grandmother spider.
Well, my dear priestess, thank you so much for coming on to the Lone Wolf Show, onto the Witchcraft TV platform. You're a mother to many, an inspiration to a lot more. And thank you so much for your blessings, your chants, your wisdom. And make sure that our viewers keep it right here on www.witchcrafttv.online. We are fair representation for all pagan, witch, and magic paths.